Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel, Animate Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. Follow up from last week where I talked about several in-color Ford models coming soon from Fascinations. We had some Model Ts, Model As, trucks, and other Ford vehicles, very colorful models coming. I found out they are adding a 6 model to that list. They are going to add a 1908 Model T in green with what looks like black interior and some gold trim to it. Now this, from what I understand, is pretty much the same build as the silver, already existing 1908 silver Model T, just with some color added. Also very similar to the Hobbytown exclusive model, but this is not going to be an exclusive, in-store exclusive model like the red one from Hobbytown. The one from Hobbytown is going to be red, it's going to be an in-store exclusive, possibly sold online. I'm not sure about that detail yet. But this is going to be available. The green one that's added to this list is going to be one of the regularly available ones and not the hard to get exclusive ones. So there is that. Otherwise, there isn't anything new coming from Fascinations, and nothing has moved from coming soon over to what's new. And these models, again, aren't yet showing up on their website. This is just some information that I have found out through other channels. Now moving over to Piececool, I haven't mentioned them in a little while, but they seem to be coming out with 3 more models, and it took me a little time to sort out quite what was going on there. On their website, they've listed 3 new models. We have a palace lantern, a wedding dress, and a wedding bed. And a lot of the details on their website, I mean, their website's not in English, and a lot of the language, a lot of the wording is in pictures, so it took me a while to translate it. And when I first translated it, what I got back was a little bit confusing. I'll read just a little bit from what I translated on one of the pictures. 10 red makeup wedding set with gorgeous metal interpretation of the American style with the love of the city. Create a romance wedding to meet all of your imagination of love. Wedding dress, phoenix crown, palace lamp, sedan chair, wedding bed. This group of articles runs through the whole process of marriage, etc., etc. Didn't understand exactly what they were saying at first, but what it appears in the picture, there's actually 5 different models all together in this sort of wedding themed set. They've already come out with 2 of them some time ago. Looks like they've already come out with the phoenix crown and the sedan chair. And I think they may appear sometimes in slightly different names. But the new releases, in addition to that set, are the Palace Lantern, which looks like it's going to be 4 1/8 sheets. The sheets, the full-size sheets, are about 11 by 21 centimeters. It's got 257 parts. Listed as brass is the metal. Model size, completed size, is going to be 11.5 by 11.5 by 13 meters or 13 centimeters high. And the release time for this and the other 2 models is September, which is coming up very soon. And that's the Palace Lantern. The wedding dress, again, a release date of September, also listed as brass. The sheets are listed as 11 by 21, and there's 5 3/4 sheets, plus 93 accessories. I don't know what that means. It talks about 243 parts, but it also talks about plus 93 accessories. So I'm not sure if there's interchangeable parts, if there's other accessories or things that aren't metal that come with it. Possibly with this being a wedding dress. I'm not exactly sure, but that's what's listed in there. The finished size is 22.5 by 18 by 19 centimeters high. The last one is height. And then we have the wedding bed, listed 6 sheets at 11 by 21, 145 parts, again listed as brass. The finished model, 14.5 by 10 by 10 centimeters height, and that is also a date of September. A lot of information. I went through that really quickly compared to what it took me to kind of sort all of that out and put it together. Again, it looks like these are 3 models that kind of go with a set of wedding stuff. 2 of the models have already been released. Why they separated it out, who knows? But yeah, that's part. It looks like they're kind of going with the idea of an American wedding, but using things that are more culturally appropriate to China, I guess. But that's what's coming soon from Piececool. This is the release date of September, so these will probably show up on places like AliExpress in the next week or two, and I'll try to let you know when those show up. I like to keep an eye on Triumph specialty products once a week as well, because I've noticed that they occasionally get stuff that's actually not showing up anywhere else. That's different than what I expect. I kind of expect them to get things a little bit later than everybody else because they're having to ship it to Canada first before they can then ship it out themselves, and a lot of this stuff comes from China. But every now and then I find something there that either I don't see somewhere else or haven't noticed anywhere else. And this week I noticed the Optimus Prime, the Last Night from Microworld. And I want to say that I've seen this before, but I'm honestly not sure if it was from Microworld or if it was from another metal model manufacturer, because it seems like there's now at least 3 different manufacturers: Metal Earth, MU, and apparently Microworld. And I'm pretty sure I have something Transformers-wise from Picture Kingdom. So everybody's getting in on the Transformers thing. I don't know if this model has been out already and now just Tri-M is getting a hold of it, or if this is something new that they're showcasing first. But I wanted to include it. As you can see, this is Optimus Prime in his robot form and not his truck form. The dimensions are 10 by 6 by 22 centimeters when finished, 6 large sheets, and 400 pieces. And right now, the only place that I'm finding it is Tri-M Specialty Products. As always, I'm going to put a link in the description down below so you can find some of the things that I'm talking about. I've talked recently a lot about exclusive models coming out from Barnes & Nobles, from Hobbytown, and from Books A Million. The only thing that I know of that's even come out of those exclusives so far is the Barnes & Nobles. I found some of their stuff online, and I put a link to that in my last video. Barnes & Noble is selling the Game of Thrones exclusive models with the Targaryen sigil online, but not all of the stores have gotten it. I know some stores have gotten it, but I myself have checked out just yesterday my local Barnes & Nobles, and they don't even have it listed as arriving in their store, like en route. So it's something that would have to be ordered online and picked up in store. And I know the last I talked with Codewookie, in his state, they hadn't, or his location, his local Barnes & Noble hadn't gotten it either. As far as the Hobbytown exclusive models, I think they are a little ways off, and the Books A Million, I haven't heard anything yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you know. Looking around on AliExpress, I'm not seeing anything new there, so that brings us to the end of what's new in 3D metal models, into the next section of the question of the week. Last week's question of the week, I'd mentioned how I had a conversation with Codewookie about collecting all of the models. And the question basically was, are you or have you ever been the type to try and collect them all? Has that changed? Why? And where does it end? And I got a few responses, one of which from James Bickert. Personally, I would love to collect them all, but that would be a bit cost and time prohibitive for me. I prefer to stick to the large models, as I feel the time it takes to build and the level of satisfaction when complete provides more bang for my buck. That makes a lot of sense. With as many models as there are out there to choose from, there's something for everybody, and that makes a lot of sense. Rather than taking the time to try and collect them all, wanting to stick to large models so that you always have something to work on, I respect that. Megatron Rules 10 commented, "Hey Brad, I feel the same way. I like to possess every single metal model, but it's hard to get specific models, so I just collect the ones I like the most, like Star Wars, Star Trek, Transformers, and so on. There are many other models out there I would like to collect, but I will when, as you said, the funds are available to get them. Love the channel and all the videos you put out. Keep up the great work." And again, that makes a lot of sense. That comment speaks to me a great deal. I very much like Star Wars, Star Trek, and the Transformers models. I very much like a lot of those licensed sci-fi comic book models. And you know, when I originally started doing this channel, that's mostly what I focused on personally, was trying to get all the Star Wars and all of the sci-fi and the comic book stuff. And I even entered into a competition once with Fascinations, show us all of your Star Wars models, and I easily won the competition because at that time I had all of the Star Wars models that were, including the Mega R2-D2, which I occasionally get asked, where do you get that from? That is getting harder and harder to find because I'm not even sure they're making that anymore, and it's still not easily available. But as it stands now, I no longer have all the Star Wars models because they are getting more difficult to find because a lot of them are from Disney, and I've also shifted my focus away from doing only what I want to do and trying to do a lot of other models. I talked about this in another video. I tried things like the steam locomotive and different castles and whatnot, and that kind of opened my eyes to some of the other collections. So I do enjoy building some of the other models, not just for the sake of helping others, but it's expanded my interest and got me into doing other things. This has been a very positive thing. But yeah, I get that. There's a certain amount of, for me personally, a lot of what I focus on is trying to basically complete models that are either sent to me by Fascinations, by viewers, or models that are requested, because what's the point of doing this video if I'm not trying to help the people who watch it? So I don't always get to buy and collect everything I want to collect, and there's just so much out there. It's really hard to keep up. Walter J. Schuler comments, another great video. For this week's question, if it's something I really like, I definitely try to get them all. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I have collected all the models that have come out. Even the Legends, even though I don't like them. Laughing out loud. Same with Star Wars, though the Droid Depot Park exclusives have been hard to get. You know, this is honestly the first time I've read that comment, and that echoes kind of what I've already said. It's gotten to the point where, on one hand, I've heard people complain about there's a lot more focus on these models and not these other models. At the same time, if you look at the amount of stuff that Fascinations has, there's a pretty wide variety of interests covered there. There's a lot of things to collect, and their catalog keeps getting bigger. They've removed a few things, but not that much compared to what they continue to come out with, and they keep coming out with more and more. I've never been able to keep up. I've been making these videos for something like 5 or 6 years now, and I've never been able to catch up. Just don't. There's a few people that have, but then when you add in the fact that there's companies like Piececool who do unique models, Tenyo, if you bother to get them, MU, Microworld, Picture Kingdom, there's so many other models out there. It's just such a huge variety to build and collect. I don't think you can easily get them all. But at the same time, that helps to satisfy everybody in the interest that they have. It makes it difficult for those of us who have wide interests, who want to get them all, but it also makes it possible that you're reaching almost, if not everybody, with something that they can build, collect, and enjoy. And that's it for this week's question of the week. Thank you very much, all of those who participated. This week's question of the week is kind of a reflection of a comment I got recently on another video, and I'm not going to read the entire comment, but basically what it amounts to is there was a particular model that had some inaccuracies in it, according to this individual, and I'm not going to detest whether or not these are inaccuracies or not, because it is beyond my knowledge, but I have and do occasionally receive comments about different models having inaccuracies in them. I myself can attest to one that I feel is inaccurate, and that is the Enterprise D that has guns on either side of the bridge. While there was an episode where the Enterprise did have those guns, from what I remember that episode, it was a one-off episode, and there were other details about the Enterprise that was different, and none of those details are included in this model, so I feel that those guns are out of place. However, those guns can easily be clipped off and the model built without it, which one day maybe I'll do. But anyway, so this week's question of the week is, are there any models that have had inconsistencies or inaccuracies that really bothered you? What were they, and how big of a deal was it? Were you able to correct it? And what other comments would you like to make? Leave your answers in the comments down below, and I will review it in next week's 3D Metal Model News. As always, I do want to thank my Patreon supporters for supporting this channel. If you enjoy these videos, consider becoming a Patreon supporter, or if you just want to leave a tip for a particular video, there are links in the description for both Patreon and Ko-Fi down below. As always, thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.